Hello everyone, Kevin Stevenson here with GetMeTheGeek.com. Today we're going to talk about Shinobi on your TrueNAS scale. That's right, the new TrueNAS scale that's about to come out, or maybe by the time you watch this, it already has came out in production. This is a release candidate version, and we're going to install Shinobi, which is a video surveillance software, and we're going to do it using the Docker that's all set up in the new TrueNAS scale. So let's take a look at that. Let's get started. All right, here we go. All right. Here is my TrueNAS. First things first, when you go into your TrueNAS, I always like to check for updates. So we're going to do that. Boom, boom, boom. No updates. Okay, so then you're going to go down here to apps. And it'll take a minute to populate. And you're going to see that I have no apps installed. If you followed along previously, you'll see this catalog of stuff. And if you just installed your TrueNAS scale, you're going to see a whole lot less than this. So go back to my other video and set up this true charts so you get all these other Docker images to manage, right, that you can have. Now, I have some stuff running in here. These are some Docker images that are already there from previous stuff. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and open up Shinobi's website. Here it is. So Shinobi is a open source CCTV solution. Go ahead and we're going to click more or learn more. Here it is. There's a video already about Shinobi for this individual has created for you, and docs and all this good stuff. And here you go. There's a CE and a Pro version. One of my viewers had requested help installing this, and that's what we're going to do. And I've already ran through this dry run once, so everything went well. So it should be great. If you want to know more about Shinobi, just peruse this website, check it out. Features, always important. Just take a look at this. So ZoneMinder is another popular surveillance software, DVR, MDR, whatever you want to call it. Here it is. Here's a comparison. ZoneMinder and Shinobi started in 2003 using Perl and C++ and PHP and all these other good stuff. But if you follow this guy's comparison, Shinobi is the cat's meow compared to ZoneMinder. Now, I've used ZoneMinder just a little bit, and yeah, it's kind of cumbersome to set up. So we're gonna get into Shinobi and we're gonna hook up a camera and see what we think. All right. So if you want to go over here, they got the docs. We can look at this getting started doc. Now, one of the things is he's got the Ninja Way installations here. There's even a video, Ubuntu, and all this good stuff. Go through, and this is good ways to install this. Mostly we're going to look here at this kind of a Docker one, right? That's to go to the repo to check out the Docker. So let's do that, right? So here's the Docker, the repo. Now you see all this right here, boom, 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 Docker install stuff. Here's one with TensorFlow, and here's from source and all this good stuff. So if you take this, you copy this down, right? I'm just gonna open up a notepad, and I'm gonna paste that in here. And here's a bunch of Docker stuff. So let's just format this a little bit where it's easier to read, right? Take it all these dashes, right? And boom, 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 boom. All right, so here we go. Let's just take a look at this real quick. Now, as you can see, Docker, run, Shinobi, all this stuff right here. Now, I happen to have this already formatted into my my gist that I created for this. So we don't actually need this piece. Boom. We're not going to say that. So what I have here is a little bit of my documentation. Let's just make this a little bit bigger for everybody. And I will explain this real quick, and then we'll go through and do it. So the first things first is in this Docker, you're going to run it, or you're going to give it the name Shinobi. This is the ports it's going to be on. And then you got volumes, right? Let's take a look at these volumes real quick. It needs a streams, it needs a config, it needs a custom autoload, database, videos, plugins. Now, if you go back to here and you look at this, there's actually going to be another one, which is this local time one. And we're not going to use that one because it just isn't going to work with how Docker is set up on TrueNAS core. So we're going to admit that it's not going to hurt anything. It just, all that means is it's not going to tie the local time to the host. So it's not going to be a problem. I will also give you another caveat. When you go over here and we go to launch Docker image, is that? Yeah. So you go over here, launch Docker image. This is how we're going to do this, right? When it goes down to the port forwarding portion of it, there are some rules that prevent, that means we have to change a couple things. You're going to click on Docker image, right? You're going to give it an application name, Shinobi, right? Shinobi Kenobi. So here's your repo. Now, I'm going to take this guy here and I'm going to put him over here. And then I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put him over here. And boom. So now I got it side by side. You can look at this, look at this. So repo image. So you can get a little thing here. Where's the Docker image repo, right? And these little question marks kind of give you some hints on how things go, right? Right. Good. So easy peasy. You see this right here? Shinobi. We just dropped that in there. Now you look at this image tag. It's going to be dev, because I believe this is how this works in here, right? And then you've got the options to pull image if not present on host, always pull image, never pull image, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to pull this image always because I have done this before and I don't remember if I kept the images on there or not, right? So then you go next and then you got entry point. So we don't need to do anything here. Oh, let me just go real quick and open up the doc. Here is their Docker installation on a Pi-hole. So let me just, yeah, there we go. one bit larger. So, you notice right here. So I've got the name of the application, the image repo, the latest, the tag of it. If you know anything about Docker, that tag is something important as far as it's what basically what channel you're getting your files out of, right? And you can kind of follow this a little bit. So like CMD, environment variables and stuff like that. So we're going to flip over to this here periodically as I go through this and just kind of talk about it a little bit. Okay, great. So here we are back at this entry points. When you go, oh, well, entry points, what did they do here? If you get in here and the documentation is changed for you or whatever, your results may vary because things are not 100%, production yet on this. So they might be changing things, right? Environment variables, we don't need any. Networking, all right. So networking, what do we need here? No, we don't really need anything. So we can just go ahead and you can look at these, by the way, just feel free. And if you're doing your own thing, it could be different. So, okay. Port forwarding. Here we go. Now is where we get to the cat's meow. All right. So let's go down to the port forwarding portion of this. And so this is where it gets important for you to look at. See that all node ports to be above 9,000. So if you follow the documentation in Shinobi, it uses 8080 for the TCP port, and that is not above 9,000. So we have to change that. So we're just going to change that 8080 to 9080, and all things will be good, right? Okay, perfect. Port forwarding. We're going to go add container port. This is the 8080 from right here, right? 9080 right here. And then it is a TCP from right here, right? So let's just go back over here and look at this. You see container port 53, which is DNS for the pie hole. And then they picked 9053 as their port, and it's a TCP one also. So they have other ports they're doing. In our particular case, you only see the one port that we're doing. So that's next. All right. Now we get to the storage portion. This is where I got ahead of myself. So it's like, you see all these volumes? What are you going to do? Well, so these volumes are, these directories and everything will map from the container, the Docker container, to your host. So technically speaking, if you didn't want to deal with any of these, you could just leave them all out. Everything would be contained in your Docker, inside your Docker container. Now, the downside of that is that, like, for example, if you blow away and redo your container again, then all of a sudden you've lost the configuration, stuff like that. Like, for example, you see here the MySQL database is located right there. The videos for your stuff is located there. So what do you do? Well, you've got to either eliminate this and it'll all be inside the Docker container, which you could do, because then all you would just need to do is get inside your Docker container and then get the data out afterwards. But like I said, it makes your Docker container blows up, and then it's not real good for backups and restores and stuff like that. So you decide on how you want to do that. You're informed. So, but I need these directories. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to go ahead and go to the trusty old terminal, right? And I'm going to SSH into this guy. Put this over here where you can see. And you will notice, yep, that's right, I can't SSH in, because TrueNAS by default has this turned off. That's okay. We can just fix that. And we'll go down to services. And we'll find SSH, which is right here. Click on configure. We want to make sure that we allow root to log in with password, right? Now we go back over here and we turn SSH on. Boop. SSH is now on. So now I come back over to here. All right. So now we're in here. Let's just switch this guy right over to here, and we want to take a look at these directories. So we need to figure out where we want these. So in your Docker, in your machine, you're going to go over to storage and take a look and say, okay, well, I've got tank, right? That's my big guy. What do I want to do? Do I want to create a separate location for this? I think I do. So let's go over here and let's go over here and add data set. We're going to call it Shinobi data. Boom, boom, boom. It's just going to inherit everything. You're going to click this and hit save. All right, so now I've got this. You go over here and you go to LS. Well, what does this got here? Let's just go back and hit. So we went back to the root directory. Let's go to MNT, and that's tank. So tank, you're like, well, you notice that's the name of our storage, right? All right, so let's go into tank, and you're going to see Shinobi data, right? Let's go into Shinobi. All right, so now we have that. Let's go ahead and create our directories. So we're going to change how all this looks right here. Okay. So we need a streams directory. So, right. Now we have a streams directory. we're going to create an auto load or custom auto loads, and one for our MySQL database. We're going to call that database, right? We're going to create one for our plugins, right? And boom. So now we have directories for all that stuff. And we'll get that out of the way. Go back over here. And we're going to say, okay, now we need host path for these storage volumes, right? So we'll take a look at this. But let's go back and look at this real quick. So if I scroll down here and look at what IX System has to say about this, right? Host path is the data set or directory path which you created to deploy the container. So the Pi-hole uses volumes to store data between container upgrades. This is very similar to what we're going to end up doing with Shinobi, okay? So you notice that MNT, pool, Pi-hole, etc., blah, blah, right? So that's where they're storing, that's where they've decided to store that. And then here's the mount path for etc Pi-hole. So inside of it, okay? So that's how this works. So we're going to do the mount path here on this one here. It's going to take it a second to load it. You go to tank, right? There's our Shinobi. When that expands, we're going to get this first one called streams, right? So boom, right? So that takes care of that. And then we're going to copy this here. Out of here, right? And then it's not read-only. So that's it. Now we're going to go ahead and add another one because we're not done yet. We got to do the config one, which of course I forgot again. I'm just going to put this in the written one here. Actually, you know what? So now let's go ahead and add that volume back again. Shinobi config. Now this can be right here. Again, it's not read-only. Add another one, which will be our custom auto load one. And again, now we'll add the database one. Alrighty. And now the video one. Now the video one exists. We will X that because it doesn't want to refresh automatically. But if I do that, do that, videos is there, and I can come down here and paste this in there. Now we're going to do plugins. So now we have that. Let's just go ahead and hit next. This stuff we don't need to do anything with. Upgrade policies, we're not going to do anything with that. I'm going to do anything with that. Okay. And then, without further ado, let's hit save. And so what it's going to do now is it's going to fetch the data. Fetch it all down there, pull that Docker image, set it all up, and bing, bang, boom. All right, I'll let it do that. Oh, that was quick. Looky there. So you see that. Now it says deploying. And we've got to give it some time. Alrighty then, here we go. Now it's back. Took it a minute. I had to refresh the page. And here we go. Active on TCP port at 9080. So let's just go ahead and take this. We'll copy this right here, right? We'll pop this in here, right? Port 9080. I believe it's admin. And there we go. So you might be asking yourself, well, how do I log in? Well, let's just go take a look, because I think the answer is in here somewhere. Here you go. Look at that. Admin, admin. So this is what it is. Oh, it's a super. And boom! Haha! Now you're into your Shinobi, right? So obviously you need an account to do this stuff, right? So as you're logging to Superman, let's go ahead and add a user. And so now there's a user, right? So what happens now? Well, we log back out. We take it out of the super side. And we go over here. And we take in that. So we got dashboard, streamer, dash cam, default. So we're going to just log in here. And here we go. Ba-dum! Wow. I know that's not super exciting, but our menu's here. Here's a little, hey, getting started. What? After installation. So maybe we want to do that, right? Maybe we want to add cameras and stuff. So this is all here, but we're going to close that for now. I'm going to just show you the menus over here. Open all monitors, power view, time lapse settings, API, Shinobi hub, events, blah blah, ONVIF. All right, I actually have 2 cameras set up. Let's just go ahead and flip you back over here. All right. So if you see right here's a camera and right here's a camera, right? Boop, bam, bam. So those are just 2 cameras that I have that I pulled out from, well, one was a spare camera that I had and the other for a different project, and the other one is a leftover camera from the system that we upgraded. So we're going to go ahead and set those cameras up. Alrighty, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and add a new camera. So we go up here, we'll click this ONVIF, and I have got this information in here. So what you're going to do is if your camera is capable of that, you put the IP address in there if you know it. Otherwise, it can scan and arrange. You get your username and password you set up on there, and then you hit search, right? Boom. And here it is. It's going to discover that camera. And we're going to click this. And then all this information is going to fill out for you, which is the best part about it, okay? So we're just going to go ahead and you look at this stuff. Watch only mode for recording, all this, and watch only. So monitor IDs, blah, 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 all these other things. It's going to fill out this preset for you. Going to fill all this wonderful stuff out for you, and everything will be good. So let's just hit save, and if we're lucky, that'll pop up on camera. Will start popping up here pretty soon. Okay, so let's go ahead and check out the other camera I have, right? So that one is at 239. And we will see what it comes up with that. It did find it. All right. And it correctly identified it as a Hikvision camera. Oh, I love it. So we go to here, watch only, blah, 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 it figures out the stream. It says, oh wow. All right. All right. So here we go. Now we'll just take and put this over here, and we'll put this one. There. Okay. So there are my two cameras. There you have. There's some cameras. You look at that. They're up there. There's fun stuff you can do with this. This is not really meant to be a tutorial on how to use Shinobi. It was just a basic of getting it set up, and that is setting up with two different cameras. Now, if you don't have a camera, that's okay, because guess what? If you have an old Android phone, you can just simply install a software called IPCam, I believe it's called. Let me look here real quick. Yep, IP webcam. So we'll go and look at that real quick. IP webcam. All right, so you can install this little piece of software in here, and it will let you turn your Android phone into a camera that you can use on this software. So if you got some old ones laying around and just want to play with it, that's a good option to check it out. As far as Apple's concerned, I don't know if there's an Apple version of that. I don't have I do have an iPad, but so I can maybe look up that. But yeah. So that is how you get going. So here's your Shinobi. Like I said, it's pretty cool. Let's just, you can click on these guys, like, so if you want to make it big. Now, the reason why this picture is blurry versus this one is because the one that's blurry still has the protective tape on top of the dome, because it's a spare camera, and I don't want to get it scratched in case I have to use it. But yeah, so there you go. Look at all this funness. Picture in picture. Haha. Look at that funness. I love this. I'm really liking Shinobi. I played around with it a little bit, so you should play around with it. It's a great piece of software, especially if you're a home NVR looking person. You're looking for a home. I don't know if I'd use it for a business, but I don't know that I wouldn't either, because honestly, if you've used most of the NVR software out there, they're pretty crappy. This does have things such as motion detect and all that good stuff. I played around with that a little bit, so either way, it's a low entry to get to playing with NVR, DVR stuff. If you got an old Android around and you got Docker, so on your TrueNAS, and bang, bang, boom, and you got it up and running. So play with it, do what you will. I'm happy. I'm going to play with it some more, so I'm super excited that you could take this journey with me. I'm Kevin Stevenson with GetMeTheGeek.com. This has been another tech tutorial. Thanks for coming.